Hi, this is Martha Thornburg, and this digital literacy workshop is just a overview of our acceptable use policy for the Mount Vernon School District. Again, my name is Martha Thornburg. I'm the digital literacy specialist for the Mount Vernon School District. Here's my contact information. If you go to our wiki page or our school website, you'll find out more information about our acceptable use policy and actually how to implement it with our students and model the correct behavior. You can also go to our Facebook page, Mount Vernon Schools Digital Literacy, and like that page. And with that, you'll receive updates and resources on that page. Probably a place you go to anyway. Okay, so to start off, our learning targets for this session are just to become familiar with the Mount Vernon School District Acceptable Use Policy, and understand your responsibilities as a staff member, and understand what the student's responsibilities are. Um, our our core beliefs about technology use. The district's technology will enable educators, students, and staff to communicate, learn, share, collaborate, create, to think, solve problems, manage their work, and take ownership of their lives. So those are pretty lofty goals, and this acceptable use policy is designed in a way that hopefully will grow with um, developing technologies and the needs of our students and the needs of our staff. It's designed in a way that is least restrictive, but still protecting both students, teachers, and the district itself. So the policy is available at my website and at our district website. So I not only encourage you, the district ask that you read the whole policy, and you'll actually be asked to sign that you have read it. But this is just kind of a quick overview to get you started in that policy. Okay, so just getting started, acceptable uses of technology. Um, Creation of files, projects, videos, web pages, podcasts, using network resources for educational and administrative purposes. So basically using technology to create, connect, communicate, collect, critique, all of those things. Um, those are all acceptable uses. Use of network resources such as email, chats, blogs, wikis, and websites in a school appropriate manner. So very open policy about being able to use these, but in a school appropriate manner. And that's where we as teachers and staff come in to teach students what that school appropriate manner is. Installation of appropriately licensed and approved software on district technology. So a lot of this happens through our tech department, but if it's appropriate and acceptable and it's not going to harm the system, that's okay. Unacceptable uses. So any kind of material being transmitted on our network that is illegal, basically, is not allowed, of course. So a big part of that, of course, there's some of the things we think, of course, we wouldn't do that, but some things to kind of pay attention to that we do run into as teachers and students, just trying to use resources and teach our students. Copyrighted materials not covered in fair use provisions, and there will be another screencast and information on what those fair use provisions are. Threatening or obscene material and material protected by trade secrets. So basically just obeying the law there, but it's important that we actually know what the law is and know what fair use is for copyrighted materials at schools. Also unaccepted, the use of profanity, obscenity, or other language that might be offensive to another user. Any form of vandalism, so any kind of damaging of the hardware or network, and copying or downloading material that again, is in violation of copyright laws. More unacceptable uses, um, using the network for financial gain or illegal activity. So we're not into that on our network, or any network. You shouldn't be. And use of a network for political activity, that you may be into in other places, but on our district website, we should not use our network for political activity. So, and then use it, of course, to unacceptable is to use the network to access pornographic or obscene materials. And also, of course, we wouldn't create or replace computer viruses on the network. And a little bit more unacceptable uses, just, and this is one that for convenience sakes we sometimes get into issues with, is accessing another's personal individual account without prior permission. The person whose name is on the account issued is responsible at all times for its proper use. So you need to make sure that you protect your passwords, and you don't give them out to other people. You don't leave your computer open so that others can access it, because if behavior that those other unacceptable uses happen while they're logged onto your computer, you're responsible for that. So you need to be very careful with that. Also, posting information or images that could be a form of harassment, activity with a malicious intent to disrupt the network. So anything that you do, just or students do, that's just trying to slow down the network, or in any other way harm that network, is not acceptable. And um, and then installation of unlicensed or unapproved software. And again, with the software piece, also the hardware. So not putting in extra wireless access points or routers or switches. Um, so that's not allowed. And also bypassing the district's filtered internet website. So using a proxy or to get through the filtering. That is not allowed on computers used by students. Okay, so big part of this again is plagiarism and copyright. And again, like I said, there will be a whole session on just copyright and plagiarism. But acceptable uses or use of copyrighted material with author permission, or use of copyrighted material that meets the fair use criteria. So being aware of what that fair use criteria is really important. And modeling this for students is really, really important. So giving credit where credit is due, asking permission when needed, those kind of things we really need to model as teachers. Of course, unacceptable, plagiarism, copying, forwarding copyrighted material, and um, and then also that installation and storage and distribution of copyrighted software. So we need to make sure that we're modeling that good behavior. So student safety and privacy, also a big concern of ours. So our acceptable use of policy basically says two things. It says we need to be aware that it can be dangerous, or dangerous to publish information that could identify students online. But it also says that we need to be aware that there are times when publishing student information, identifying information may be okay. So just being really aware of who your students are and what you're doing. Again, there will be another screencast and some lessons just on that student safety and privacy piece, just how to think through that, and how, if you're publishing student work, how to label that work, how to label pictures of students, and that kind of thing. And another big thing is online activities of students will be monitored. Students need to know that nothing that they do on our network is private, and that we as teachers, the network staff, we all have access to that. And also, students must be provided with instruction on appropriate online behavior and cyberbullying awareness. This is not just a good idea, this is the law, And so we as teachers need to make sure that we are providing students by our modeling and also by direct instruction on what that appropriate online behavior is and issues with cyberbullying. And again, I will provide some resources to help you do that. Um, so, as you know, the use of personal electronic devices is a real thing in our district, and so we have some policies in place. Again, they're open and hopefully forward thinking. So as things change, we'll be able to work with them. So basically, any device that belongs to a student, they're responsible for that device. The school district is not going to reimburse them, or they're not going to put in, they may not put in a lot of effort to find that device or that kind of thing, any more so than they would with any other thing that a student brings to school. So um, that's impossible. That's something that we need to be aware of. Also, student cell phones shall be turned off during class unless specifically allowed by the teacher. There's a lot of really great uses for cell phones and other devices in our classrooms, and I'll be sharing some of those ideas with you. But the students need to know that when their cell phones are on in the classroom, they're on for learning and not for other activities. So that needs to, and that is up to the discretion of the teacher how that is used. And also acceptable, all of these can be used as part of classroom instruction if that's what the teacher wants. And they may also be used outside of classroom if that is okay with the school. So individual schools can make policies on that, and individual teachers can make policies depending on the age of the kids and what kind of issues they're having and that kind of thing. Um, and again, students with these devices are expected to use all of these tools, email, chat, blogs, internet websites, etc., in a school appropriate manner. And again, that leads back to us as teachers and staff to model and instruct on what school appropriate manner is. And unacceptable. Okay, so anything that violates the district owned technology that we've already talked about, the use of personal device to, again, to give an advantage in a testing situation. So you wouldn't use any of those to cheat on a test, obviously. Anytime the teacher says the personal devices should be turned off, they should be turned off. And again, downloading and installing district licensed software on the personal devices. So that's basically stealing, so you cannot do that. And guidelines for staff. Um, again, the technology and the internet and intranet in our district should be used to support our academic program, for telecommunications. It can be used for association and union activities, and reasonable personal use to the extent that it doesn't violate any contract or agreements and doesn't interfere with your job. So, if you need to make a doctor's appointment or those kind of things, that's okay. If you're spending all day long on eBay buying, I don't know what, or Pinterest or something like that, then that's not okay. All of those things, Facebook, Pinterest, eBay, there's all a place for those at school if they're used properly. So use your judgment on that. If it's supporting your job or helping you to, make an appointment or something like that, that's fine. If it's keeping you from doing your job, it's not fine. Um, Again, the use of network for financial gain, so any kind of illegal activity, commercial activity, hacking, all of that, not okay. Any kind of political activity, so campaigning for somebody, that kind of thing, not okay. And use of district resources to contact students for non-educational purposes or any other purpose not in the furtherance of the goals of the district. So in this case, this kind of helps us look at things like Facebook and email and things like that. All of those tools, again, I think the policy has been written in a way that gives us, it's more of a mindset than which tools you're using. So if a high school teacher has a Facebook page set up for their calculus class and they're using it in that way, then that's perfectly okay. If you're using district resources to contact students, about anything that wouldn't be appropriate, then of course that's not okay. And some other guidelines, just and this is a big one for me, is all staff members are encouraged to develop the necessary skills to use our internet effectively and efficiently. So yeah, just kind of keeping on track of things, and knowing what the students need to do so you can model for your students, and you can use the tools to make your job a little more efficient. And another big thing is, what is our role as staff? Teachers and other supervising adults will monitor student use and provide students with instruction on internet safety, including appropriate online behavior, and particularly interacting with individuals on social networking websites and chat rooms, cyberbullying awareness and response. So that's our responsibility. For some of us, it'll be more direct responsibility to actually make sure those lessons are being taught. But for all of us, the supervision, the listening to students, the modeling, the conversations we have should all make sure that we are providing that for our students. And the other piece of that is that when students are on the internet in our district, they need to be monitored by staff. And so there should never be kids in a room without an adult who are allowed to be on the internet. Probably there should never be kids in a room without an adult. Anyway, but we are responsible for monitoring their content, and the best way for us to do that, and the best way for us to keep our network as open as possible, is to make sure that we're doing a good job of monitoring what's happening with students in the classroom. Okay, and so email, just some simple things about email, just commonly accepted practices that make the email work better. Messages shouldn't contain large attachments that mucks up the system, large embedded graphics, and long recipient lists. So all of those things just kind of can slow things down, so we need to pay attention to what we send by email. Again, acceptable, we've talked a little bit about this, which is general rules, but you can use the email to fulfill your responsibilities with your job. And then again, for incidental personal use, that if you've got to make a doctor's appointment or something like that, that's perfectly okay to do on your school email or phone. And unacceptable, again, the political activity piece. Anything that's illegal is illegal illegal or against district policy is also illegal on our phones or internet. And any kind of vulgar or offensive, obscene, sexually explicit language. And again, copying commercial software or other materials in violation of the copyright laws. So being aware of copyright laws, really important. And then, as I've said before, modeling that. Unacceptable, again, using network for financial gain, accessing other people's account without prior consent, and sharing of inappropriate materials or their sources with students or adults. Okay, so that's not acceptable. So again, for more information, and like I said, there's going to be other little information, screencast, and resources available on my digital literacy workshops page. One great resource for working with students is Common Sense Media. They have a whole curriculum for digital citizenship for K through 12. great videos, great activities, lesson plans. So that's a great place to go to get the tools that you need to make sure your students know how to be good digital citizens. So that's it for our acceptable use policy. Please be sure to take time to read it and to keep in mind all of these things as you work with students and staff each day.